Well, we'll just do this. See how this works. All right. Yes. Yes. Whew. It's too late to be nervous now. What's up? Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Getting Naked with Gaea. That's me, your host, Karman Gaea. And I think we all know some pretty insufferable people. Maybe you're one of those insufferable people. But there's a reason for the season and why people are the way they are. So today we're going to be diving into some self-discovery. So I hope you're ready. You're going to need it. Welcome. Happy Friday. You made it. We made it. Survival is now really like a legit thing. So welcome to the Hunger Game, bitches. It's now real life. I don't like it. It's terrible. But it is what it is. Oh my gosh. But yes, thank you guys for tuning in to my 11th episode. Woo! I'm trying something different, and I'm going to actually possibly post this video up on YouTube. And I say possibly because I'm like trying to do this while recording something I've never done before, but I'm capable and we're gonna get it. So wish me luck with all the shit I'm trying to do. But yes, I hope that you've had a good week. I hope that, you're gonna have a good weekend. Hopefully you don't have to work. Hopefully you'll get to like chill, or at least get your wits about yourself, because man, the world is getting crazier and crazier. And soon all the things we see on TV are going to be real life. I mean, they are anyway, but whatever. I guess you gotta live long enough to see it. But yes, first of all, let me say thank you for helping me get 100 listeners. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome for me. I'm so excited because I'd be nervous. Like, y'all can hear it in my voice kind of like right now. Like, I just be nervous about shit, and I try not to be, because I've done this before, but I've never actually tried to record it. So be gentle with me, please. But yes, it's starting to all the things that you want to manifest. You start to see them unfold when you actually are consistent. And I have to say that consistency is something that's not easy for me. I'm not saying it's not feasible, but okay. So funk with me on this. So when I was younger, I wanted to be an assassin. I thought it'd be like the most banging job ever. I was like, man, the only people that I wouldn't take out would be children. I was like, men, women, let's do it. But I wouldn't harm children, and animals. I wouldn't harm animals either. That's not my shtick. But I always wanted to be an assassin. And so if you're an assassin, a spy, somebody that's doing something that's not really illegal, but you shouldn't be doing it. If you start to develop a routine, if somebody knows that you're a spy or whatever, your identity is discovered, if you have a routine, somebody can kill you. I don't know if y'all ever watched 1,000 Ways to Die, but supposedly that was one of the ones where this guy was getting coffee at this place. And so they ended up taking him out with a laser or something crazy because it was a routine for him to go get coffee, but he's supposed to be out there sniping people or whatever his job was as an assassin. So yeah, sometimes I feel like routine, it's good for you, but sometimes it's also overwhelming, especially if you don't know what to do with it. So, yes. Thank you guys for tuning in. Oh my gosh, there's so much shit going on in the news, and I really wish I could like touch on all of it, but I can't because my head would explode. And that's just going to be it. We're just going to have an exploded Karman laid out, and I don't want to deal with it. But today, we are going to be talking about anagrams. Now, a lot of people like to swear that, oh my gosh, your astrological sign is it. That's, you can't get away from it. But like, if you really look at all the astrological signs, there's a little bit of you in each of them. And I say that also because I learned that our bodies are also correlated with our with the 12 horoscopes. So Aries being the head, and then you kind of just go down the list from there. Pisces are feet, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because that's before Aries. So yeah, it's, or wait, no, it's Aquarius. But I think Aquarius is knees. I'll get more detail on that later. But oh hey, I have some listeners on here. Hey OJ28 and Shine, what's up? Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about anagrams. Now, there is another personality test that I discovered that trying to type and do this at the same time. That I discovered, but it's like 16, and I know they're all like weird abbreviations like INJ, ENJ, something like that. I don't feel like getting into that one right now. I think it's like the Briggs-Myers personality test or something like that, but it's like 16 of them. But today we're going to be talking about anagrams. Now, anagrams, there's only 9 personality types. And when I started to get into them, because if you understand how people are, we're pretty multifaceted, you know, and everybody has different things and abilities and traits that kick in and out and everything like that. But I think the anagram did a very good job at breaking it down, not really simply, but like it just gives you some really good detail about about how you are. Because like I said, you're like your horoscope, your astrological sign can't always encompass that, because like, for example, I'm an Aries, and I guess we're supposed to be like really like overtly stubborn and just like, we're gonna just have it our way. It's like, yeah, to an extent, but if you're not a person who's willing to compromise, you're gonna be fucked. Woohoo, Sean, hell yeah, go team Aries, baby. But yeah, I just thought that was always weird growing up, that I was like, maybe I should just try to like encompass who I am with my astrological sign, but you can't. You can't, because you're all of it. So just say fuck it, accept it. I'm cool with it. So I'm just going to give you guys a little background of the anagram. Its origins can't be traced because I guess through time, people have just kind of like added or changed or kind of like had their own interpretations. And I'm going to be actually talking about it from this book, Personality Types, using the anagram for self-discovery by Don Richard Riso. Now, if you're watching this video, this thing is tore up pretty damn bad. But it's because I got it at the thrift store, and it is probably the best buy I have ever purchased in my life. So poo if you don't like the quality. But the material on the inside is well worth it. But yeah, so they were saying that they do believe, though, that it kind of began like in Sumerian times, Babylon, Middle East, around there somewhere. But like I said, like throughout time, everybody's kind of added, taken away, and kind of done their own thing with it. So its true origins have been kind of muddled. And I probably will be breaking this into parts because, like I said, there's 9 different distinct personalities, and there's no way on this fine green terrain that, well, some parts of the earth are still green. Anyway, I digress. I will be able to break that all down. So we're just going to do it little by little. So, understanding personality traits, like trying to cram everybody into a category, seems pretty odious. Like I said, having, your astrological sign like be like the trump card for why you are the way you are, like it can work, but like I said, like if you really really look at it, you will understand that yes, you are all of them. So you can't just cram everybody into one box because we're not all the same. We're all different. And sorry, I have notes. So there's numerous reasons to study personality traits. The most important is that humans are inherently interesting and dangerous. Humans mystify us with our ability to change. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever dealt with somebody who's got, what is it, like a personality disorder supposedly, or people that are bipolar and kind of go from one degree of emotion to another in like 0 to 60 seconds. That's a thing everybody's capable of unless you have complete self-control of yourself, because that's just human nature. Like things that seem odd are actually natural. They just seem odd because as a society, we all want to pretend like we're normal, or that like that we're normal. Nobody's normal. I'm sure the hell not normal. I haven't been normal for a long time. So, whatever. And the people that we know sometimes turn out to be monsters or hopeless narcissistics. Unless we have insight, we will be abused and used and probably overlook an amazing person or a relationship worth saving because of inherent selfishness. So that's why I said I feel like, learning the Enneagram is very useful, especially for personalities, because like, you never really know a person, even if it's somebody that you're like, hey, we've been friends for like 30 years. And then you come to find that your friend of 30 years like went and knifed up their wife, and you're like, holy shit, what were you thinking, bro? You're like, I thought that you weren't that kind of person. So, that's the fascinating thing of being human, is our ability to change depending on, our experiences or things that happen to us. Understanding ourselves and others should make us happier in theory. But once you really get to know a person, sometimes now you're like depressed because you're like, well, I didn't know you were like this. So it's like now it's been changed. Everyone wants insight into others, but rarely themselves. We often avoid showing our own shortcomings, and I really wanted to put this point to social media. Now, I do my best to promote my podcast on social media accounts that I have, but I also have a great loathing for social media, because a lot of people have a tendency to show themselves at their best. Like, rarely do they want to show themselves at their worst. And like by worst, I don't mean like sad or depressed, but I mean like, some people, you don't know what they look like when they're angry, because like they're like, oh, I'm not an angry person. Those kind of people you should be scared and nervous about, because you're like, oh, well, when you do get angry, what's going to happen? Is this going to be like a volcano? Like, you don't know. But social media kind of gives us a warped view of the people that we follow, or a warped view of people's lives, because they put out what they want us to see, much like the media. They put in your face what they want you to see, and then you kind of just build an opinion on, what you see from there. So, it's hard to be I guess not truthful, but like sometimes it's hard to be transparent with yourself. Sometimes you can be transparent with others, but trying to just like really understand and accept and embrace your own shortcomings and acknowledging them, it's a slippery slope, but it's what we need, I feel, to like have healthier relationships, is to be more transparent and to be more transparent with ourselves. So looking at ourselves with the same objective eye, with which we view others has been lost. And like I said, I feel that's been lost through social media. This is why I feel we should live in a society that believes in transparency, not just saying what they think we should know. Because I kind of feel like if everybody could read our thoughts, like, would you want to be a better person? Like, if everybody knew every second of every day, like, what you thought, like, would that be an incentive for you to improve your life? Like, I'm really curious about that. And understanding human nature is truly a double-edged sword because, like you said, or like I said, you get the mysticism and the greatness of humans, but you also have to understand that, yes, we are dangerous, like damn near psychotic, some of us. So it's like trying to understand human nature. It's ever evolving. Like, I don't think we'll ever truly come to a point of understanding human nature until we truly understand ourselves and how we tick, why we tick, and so on and so forth. Understanding personality types is useful to anyone who doesn't have a personality, but this is really more useful for self-reflection. Like I said, this, like what we're going to be talking about today as far as the Enneagram, it's going to give you like really great insight, possibly into like other people in your lives, but it's really more so for us to use for ourselves and to dive deeper into who we are and how we can become, you know, our evolved self, like become our better self, you know. So that's mostly the point of this. So now I'm going to show you guys, those who are watching the video, it's like, oopsies, there we go. So it's the guidelines of the Enneagram, and this is going to actually show I'll be there we go, Shine. I'll be posting it on YouTube. I was trying to do it live on YouTube, but they haven't approved my account, so I'm all like, whatever, fine. Then I'll just upload it. So once this podcast is wrapped up for the day, then yeah, I'll throw it up there for you guys. All right, so if you can kind of see in the picture here, it is the picture of an Enneagram, and it almost kind of looks like the Star of David, almost. It doesn't like get completed at the bottom, but you can see, without it being blurry possibly, that there are numbers. So it's 1, and then it goes to 2 and around and ends up at 9. Sorry, I'm like trying to do this while looking and explaining. And honestly, it's probably best if you go online to like look it up. It'll be this. But yeah, so it's probably better if you go online. I'm trying to do some serious multitasking, but yes, OJ28, it should still be under my same name. I try to keep everything the same. I don't want anybody to get confused because I know how bad I can lose it. But yes, so with the Enneagram, you have the triads. And so like I said, if we can see these pictures. So as you can see in this one here. Oh, hey, that's a little clearer. There we go. Over there. Yeah. All right. So you see how it's got like the Y point, and it's the triads of the Enneagram. So you have like over here you have 2, 3, and 4. They're a part of the feeling triad. Then you have over here 5, 6, and 7. They're a part of the doing triad. And then over here you have 8, 9, and 1, and they're a part of the relating triad. And so, like I said, underdeveloped, overdeveloped. We'll get into that part a little later because that's a little complicated. That's why I said it'd probably be best to Google it because it does get interesting. All right. So here we go. Starting to get into the meat and taters. All right. So like I said, those were the parts of the triad. 2, 3, and 4 feeling. 5, 6, and 7 are doing, and 8, 9, and 1 I like really read it and friggin' forgot. Relating. Thank you, Sean. I love to do accents. I feel like I do them quite well. But if only I could do this quite well with this reverse looking shit. So anyways, yes. So there you go. So there's the little triad. So for number 1, you have the reformer. These are for the personality types now. Number 2 is the helper. Number 3 is the status seeker. Number 4 is the artist. Number 5 is the thinker. Number 6 is the loyalist. Number 7, the generalist. 8, the leader. 9, the peacemaker. And 1 is the reformer. Now, I'm just going to read off the personalities and kind of just give you, I guess, like verbs for, I guess, how they are. So you can kind of get an idea before we start to get into it. So the 2, which is the helper, is caring, generous, possessive, and manipulative. 3 is the status seeker. 3 is self-assured, competitive, narcissistic, and hostile. 4, the artist, is creative, intuitive, introverted, and depressive. 5, the thinker, is perceptive, analytic, eccentric, and paranoid. 6, the loyalist, is likable, dutiful, dependent, and masochistic. 7 is the generalist, accomplished, impulsive, excessive, and manic. 8, the leader, is self-confident, forceful, combative, and destructive. 9, the peacemaker, peaceful, reassuring, passive, and neglectful. 1, the reformer, is principled, orderly, perfectionistic, and punitive. So that's just to give you like a little verb of what we are about to encounter. So let's see. We're going to go forward. I don't think there's anything. Oh, so there are wings. So before I get into it too. So there's also with this using the anagram, like using what I just said, the guidelines to find out which one you are on the anagram. You will also find out which wing, which will be, okay, so I can use myself as an example, and I'll use the book too. But for example, I'm a 6. I'm a loyalist. And my wing is a 7, which is the generalist. And once I read it, like I said, like you'll really start to like see which wing is yours, because you only get 2. You're either going to they all kind of just like go opposite. So let me show you here too. So you see, like you have the directions of disintegration, which, like I said, we're going to use me for an example. So if I'm a 6, so I would go from a 6 to a 9. Like if I started to, started to go crazy and get into my little masochistic phase, apparently, then I would start going down to a 9. And then you have like directions of integration, which is like the directions of you being, becoming your better self, becoming the good loyalist in my case. And so that means that I would go from a 6 to a 9 instead of disintegrating from a 9. Yeah, a 9 to a 6. Wait, no. Yeah, 9 to a 6. So yeah, But like I said, please, I implore you to go online and look it up so that you can see these also for yourself. And so when I was talking about directions of integration and disintegration, so as you see here, you know, if you are integrating, like you're becoming your healthy, positive, best form of your personality. And when you are disintegrating, like you're just going into the hellhole pretty much. You know, you're becoming masochistic. You're probably becoming hostile, whatever personality trait, you know, you find to be yours. So before I start getting into the second part of this book, please think about which one you are. Now, you could pick multiple ones, of course, but once we get into the meat and potatoes of it, like that will be like reading them and getting like a defined definition of it will break it down better for you. Because like I said, like you could be a couple of them if you don't know or if you're not aware or don't understand, but there is truly only one for you. Now, I must warn, you will probably be in your feelings. No, just recording. Yeah, OJ28. They have to approve my account or something first. So I have to sit around and wait for them to approve me before I can go live, which I'm like, fine, it's cool. All right. So like I said, we're going to start. This is how the book starts. And it starts with the helper, type 2. So healthy, a type 2 becomes unselfish, disinterested, and altruistic, giving unconditional love to others, empathetic, compassionate, caring, warm, and concerned, encouraging, generous, and giving, a helpful, loving person. If they are of average, emotionally demonstrative, gushy, friendly, full of good intentions about everything, gets overly intimate, enveloping, and possessive, the self-sacrificial, mothering person who cannot do enough for others, self-important, feels he or she is indispensable, but overrates his efforts in others' behalves. Okay, OJ28, see you in a sec. Let's see. Overrates his efforts in others' behalf, overbearing, patronizing. Unhealthy. Can be manipulative and self-serving, instilling guilt, putting others in his debt, self-deceptive about his own motives and behavior, domineering and coercive, feels entitled to get anything he wants from others. The victim and martyr, feels abused, bitterly resentful and angry, resulting in hypochondria and psychosomatic problems. Yeah, I said it's gonna get deep. Key motivations: wants to be loved, to express his or her feelings for others, to be needed and appreciated, to coerce others into responding to him, to vindicate his claims about himself. So people who are number 2s, these are examples of the people: Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Eleanor Roosevelt, Leo Buscaglia, Bill Cosby, Luciano Pavarotti, Sammy Davis Jr., Mr. Rogers. Oh, Mr. Rogers. And the typical Jewish mother stereotype. So like I said, I really implore you guys to like find this book. Like it's cheap, trust me. It's old. So they won't be breaking your pockets. So an overview of the two. Because it has so many facets, love is difficult to define. Yes, it is. It means different things to different people in different kinds of relationships. The word can be used to cover a multitude of virtues as well as vices. Of all the personality types, 2s think of love in terms of having positive feelings for others or taking care of others and of self-sacrifice. These aspects of love are undoubtedly important parts of the picture, But what twos do not always remember is that at its highest, love is more closely aligned with the realism than with feelings. Genuine love wants what is best for the other, even if it means risking the relationship. Love wants to be beloved to becoming strong and independent, even if it means that the two must withdraw from the other's life. Real love is never used to take away from others what they would not freely give. Love outlives a lack of response, selfishness, and mistakes, no matter who is at fault, and it cannot be taken back. If it can be, it's not love. Man, that's some deep shit right there, ain't it? We have all dealt with that. Being in relationships where people are like, oh, I thought you loved me, using your love for them against you. And like, before I get into, they said like the typical Jewish mother stereotype, but I have to say that I think that's a lot of mothers. I mean, not all, but a good portion of them who will be like, well, I gave birth to you and this is how you do me and oh, woe is me. Life is so horrifying. And it's like, no. Like, that's not even what this is. Like, some people have a tendency to take things far too personally. And I'm sure we all know twos in our lives. So, Twos believe deeply in the power of love as the prime source of everything good in life. In many ways, they are right. But what some twos call love and what is worthy of the same name are very different things. In this personality type, we will see the widest possible use of love, from disinterested, genuine love to the flattering effusions of pleasers, to the manipulations of a Jewish mother, although one does not have to be Jewish or a mother to use love to manipulate others. Just a clarification, this is part of the book, not me. There is the greatest variety among those who march under the banner of love, from the most selfless angels to the most hate-filled devils. Understanding the personality type 2 will help us understand how they got that way. And like I said, that's the whole point of this, is for us to find out. Sorry, I just discovered that my child has smeared makeup all over my whiteboard. Anyways, enough of my distractions. But yes, like I said, this is really a book really an episode for us to like really do self-discovery and digging into ourselves. Because, I mean, what's the point of getting with another person or trying to have a relationship if you don't understand yourself? It just makes things miserable. So like I said, the number 2, the helper, is in the feeling triad. So their feelings, like I said, or in the book, they say feelings of love. Like everything for them is, oh, my love of you is why I do this. My love of you is why this exists. My love, my love. So they're really all about love. Although twos have strong feelings for others, they have potential problems with their feelings. They tend to overexpress how positively they feel about others while ignoring their negative feelings altogether. They see themselves as loving, caring people, yet all too often they love others only to have others love them in return. So pretty much just saying that they're doing it for selfish purposes. Their love is not free. Expectations of repayment are attached. And this, if you have ever read the book, The 4 Agreements, this is one thing that I learned from that book, is that when you're in a relationship with people, even if it's not like an intimate relationship, but just having relationships with people, giving people expectations or having the expectation that others should have the same expectations of you is actually insanity. So if you are one of those people who you're like, oh, well, this is what I would do, and I have the expectation that somebody else would do this for me, you need to let that go. I'm going to tell you firsthand, me being who I am, you got to let that go. Because people have their own agendas. Like, you can't expect expectations or the same expectations from other people. Just saying. Healthy twos, however, are the most considerate and genuinely loving of all the personality types. Because they have strong feelings and sincerely care about others, they go out of their way to help people, doing real good and serving real needs. But if they become unhealthy, twos deceive themselves about the presence and extent of their aggressive feelings, not recognizing how manipulative and domineering they can be. As we shall see, unhealthy twos are among the most insidious of all the personality types because they are extremely selfish in the name of utter selflessness. They do terrible harm to others while believing that they are completely good. So that's why I said, like, if you're starting to get in your feelings because you're like, this is either resonating with you as a person or maybe you know somebody, you're in a relationship with somebody who's a two. It's like, don't take it personally. Like, this is just who they are. But there's always room for improvement, okay? So remember that. It's always room for improvement. The essence of the problem is that even average twos cannot see themselves as they really are, as persons of mixed motives, conflicting feelings, and personal needs which they want to fulfill. Instead, they see themselves only in the most glowing terms, ignoring their negative qualities as they gradually become self-deceptive. What is difficult to understand about twos is how they can deceive themselves so thoroughly. What is difficult to deal with in them is the manipulative way in which they go about getting what they want. The worse they get, the more difficult it is to square your perception of them with their totally virtuous perception of themselves. They constantly exonerate themselves and demand that you do the same. Indeed, they demand that you accept their interpretation of their actions against your own judgment, and sometimes even contrary to the plain facts. Twos correspond to the extroverted feeling type in Jung's typology. Unfortunately, it is not one of his most insightful descriptions. Nonetheless, the following traits are worth noting. Depending on the degree of dissociation between the ego and the momentary state of feeling, signs of self-disunity will become clearly apparent because the originally compensatory attitude. I skipped the page. Pardon me. The compensatory attitude of the unconscious has turned into open opposition. This shows itself first of all in extravagant displays of feeling, gushing talk, loud expostulations, etc., which ring hollow. The lady doth protest too much. It is not at once apparent that some kind of resistance is being overcompensated, and one begins to wonder whether these demonstrations might not turn out quite different. And a little later they do. Only a very slight alteration in the situation is needed to call forth at once just the opposite pronouncement on the same object. Okay, so that was a psychologist, Jung. That was his interpretation. So if I come across any more of these interpretations from these psychologists, I'm not reading them because that made no sense to me. And somebody might be like, oh, well, guess what? I'm not a psychologist. But it didn't make sense. Anyhow, so what Jung described is the ambivalence of the two's feelings, the ability to shift from apparently totally positive feelings for others to highly negative ones. As we trace the deterioration of the two along its continuum of traits, we can see that healthy twos really do love others genuinely. But average twos have mixed feelings. Their love is nowhere near as pure or selfless as they think it is. And in unhealthy twos, the opposite of love is operative. Hatred finds nourishment in burning resentments against others. Jung is not correct in saying that only a very slight alteration in the situation is needed to call forth at once just the opposite pronouncement on the self-same object. Since hatred is at the other end of the spectrum from genuine love, but what is true is that the step-by-step as twos deteriorate along the continuum toward neurosis is precisely what happens. So problems with hostility and identification. Twos, threes, and fours have a common problem with hostility, although they manifest it in different ways. So remember when I was talking about the 12 astrological signs, how like they correlate with like all parts of our bodies? You know, that's why I said this is although there's 9, it's broken up into 3 triads. There we go. It's a different triad. So people who fall into the feeling triad have a problem with hostility. They just show it in different ways. Twos deny that they have any hostile feelings whatsoever, concealing their aggressions not only from others, but also from themselves. Holy shit, I don't know why I just had this thought, so before I forget, I don't know if you guys have seen that show, and I can't think of it right now. It's on, maybe it was on Hulu, and it had, oh my gosh, the tall blonde lady, Nicole Kidman. She was like a counselor, and she was like microdosing everybody with like shrooms. And it was supposed to be like some really like crazy, I guess, therapy, new therapy type of whatever. I can't think of it right now, but reading that made me think of it, because there's a character in there who, she seems very sweet and very nice, but she's actually a psycho. And she actually went to such lengths with her psychosis and her love for her ex-husband that she shot somebody. So, yeah. Anyhow, like everyone else, twos have aggression, but they protect themselves from realizing their existence and extent because their self-image prohibits them from being openly hostile. They act aggressively only if they can convince themselves that their aggressions are for someone else's good, never for their own self-interest. Average to unhealthy twos fear that if they were ever openly selfish or aggressive, not only would their negative behavior contradict their virtuous self-image, it would keep others away from them. They therefore deny themselves and to others that they have any selfish or aggressive motives whatsoever, while interpreting their actual behavior in a way which is entirely favorable to themselves. They eventually become so practiced at this that they completely deceive themselves about the contradiction between their true motives and their real behaviors. Unhealthy twos become capable of acting both very selfishly and very aggressively, while in their minds they are neither selfish nor aggressive. Now, reading this, like, man, you really get to like learn about how the mind works. Man, like I said, we're either very mystifying or we're very scary. And honestly, there's so much to the two here that I'll probably have to even break this up into a continuation. Because, yeah, there's a lot of pages on this. Matter of fact, let me put this in here so we can have separation so I know what's going on. Alrighty then. Alrighty. The source of their motivation is the need to be loved. However, twos are always in danger of allowing their desire to be loved to deteriorate into the desire to control others. By gradually making others dependent on them, average twos inevitably arouse resentment against themselves while demanding that others confirm only how virtuous they are. When interpersonal conflicts arise, as they inevitably do because of their attempts to control others, average to unhealthy twos always feel more sinned against than sinning. They see themselves as martyrs who have sacrificed themselves selflessly without being appreciated for it in the least. Their aggressive feelings and resentments eventually manifest themselves in the psychosomatic complaints and physical illnesses which force others to take care of them because they have become broken down invalids, all in the name of love. Now, reading on that, when they talk about the mother thing. Now, there's this movie I had to watch in mi clase de español when I was in high school called Chocolate, or Water for Chocolate, Agua por Chocolate. And friggin' the mother in there, like, made one of her daughters, like, take care of her. She was like, you'll never get married. You'll never have children. Pretty much like your whole life is just going to be spent taking care of me, like no matter what happens. And I feel like this is something that's common. And like, it's funny that they said, like, you know, they had specifically said the Jewish mother stereotype. But I have to say, like, this is like the mother type or even grandmother type. And I feel like this particular trait is more maternal than paternal. Like, I feel like twos are generally usually more women than men. Now, I'm not saying like it's a high percentage because I don't actually know, but just based off of my own experience, like twos are generally like women who are like grandmas or, you know, mothers or even like sisters, you know, somebody who you're like, you have some kind of relationship with them that you're like, well, if you're not going to do what I ask, or if you won't help me, like, what kind of person are you? And oh my gosh, woe is me. Now I'm sick because I'm so stressed about the way you treat me. And it's like, you really want to slap, like, just tap, tap, hit them with like a couple of them, you know? That's why I think they should bring dueling back. I think that's pretty epic to like slap somebody with a glove. Like, I challenge you to a duel and tap, tap. Slap them up, and then you guys go meet in the square. And, you know, I think everybody should have like the regular ball bearing pistols, not pistols we have now. No. We need the ball bearing ones where you got to get the powder and pack it down in there. You know, that's how I feel we should start to handle things. Gaining the love of others is important to twos because they fear that they are not loved for themselves alone. They feel that they will be loved only if they can earn love by always being good and by constantly sacrificing themselves for others. In a word, they fear that others would not love them unless they made others love them. That's why I said about the controlling part. Twos could be briefly characterized as persons who, fearing that they are in love, spend their lives trying to make people love them. Naturally, that creates a deep source of hidden aggression, and if people do not respond to them as they want, average to unhealthy twos become increasingly resentful. But since they cannot consciously own up to their aggressive feelings, they express them indirectly in manipulative behavior they disavow. It is mind-boggling to see how badly unhealthy twos treat others while justifying everything they do. But no matter how destructive their actions are, unhealthy twos persuade themselves that they have nothing but love and the purest of good intentions at heart. Now, that's why I said we get to the point of, you know, seeing this kind of behavior in other people. And then you really like want to sit back. Like that's why I said like this, I love the Enneagram for this. Like, it was really great for my self-discovery, but it's really great because it helps you to understand other people. And like, you really want to be like, why are you like this? Like, does that not register to you? And like I said, like, the mind is a really amazing thing. Like, the universe, God, whoever you believe in, whoever was a part of our creation, like, they had to know something to create the brain the way it has. Because when you have people who are twos like this and they really want to sit here and like treat you like crap, like treat you like worse than the poo on their foot that they're about to just wipe off on a rug, and then they want to be like, why are you treating me like this? It's like, do you not see how you are? Like, I don't know, you know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just like completely baffled here. But like, that's why I said like listening, like reading this, listening to it, whatever you're doing, like this really will help you understand. Like, you're just like, you really just want sometimes to just have the proper perspective of a person, of a situation. And I feel like anagrams and how they describe the personalities, because like I said, like no matter what happens, like, you know, somebody who's like this, like, you know, a two in your life, you have a two in your life. It may not be your mama, it may not be your grandma, but you know somebody who's always trying to guilt trip people, always trying to be like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I'm the person who went out of my way for you and you can't even do this for me. Like, what kind of person are you? It's like, well, yeah. So we all know a damn two. One of the major ironies of all twos is that unless they are very healthy, the focus of their attention is essentially on themselves. Although they neither give this impression to others nor think of themselves as egocentric, assertions to the contrary, even for average twos, the welfare of others is not primary. Rather, their positive feelings about themselves, as reinforced by the positive reactions of others, are what is important to them and what they are always angling for. So they're always just like, if they are positive enough or they do something enough, they're like, oh, you know, they like me because of this, so I'm going to keep pandering to that. This is why twos have a second problem in common with threes and fours, a problem with their identities. Other people do not see twos as they really are. And more important, twos do not see themselves as they really are. There is an ever increasing disparity between the saintly self image and the actual sinner, between the claims on the love of others which they make and what they actually deserve. So, yeah, like I said, this is every time I read this, it's just like really amazing because it's like I know people who are like this and you can't help them unless you get this book for them and you're like, hey, so I'm just going to be honest and tell you that I think this is how you are. You know, maybe just allow them. I've learned this through life too. Allow people, like when you know you're about to say something that more than likely will hurt their feelings or they're going to feel insulted about, let them take this information in on their own. Allow them the proper channel to see for themselves the person that they really are versus you telling them. Because, like I said, apparently for twos, like no matter how much you tell them about themselves, they will still be like, that's preposterous. That's not me. I'm like, all right, cool. All right, so the childhood origins. And this is going to go through all of them, which I really appreciate because it's like maybe if you have kids or if you know people who have children, maybe this will be a way for you to probably like gauge or help them understand how their child is going to be as they get older based on their environment and things that are going on. As children, twos have ambivalent relationships to their fathers or father figures, which were crucial in the development of their personalities. The ambivalence they have to their fathers sets the stage for an ambivalent orientation toward everyone who can give the love they want. Ambivalence to their fathers helps explain the fact that their self-esteem is conditional. Twos do not love themselves unconditionally as threes do, nor do they lack self-esteem as fours do. Rather, their self-esteem is based on the condition that they be absolutely good. They must see themselves as good so they can maintain self-esteem and build an identity to which others will respond with the love they desire. While there is certainly nothing objectionable about feeling good about themselves when they are genuinely good, their problems begin when they need to feel that they are good all the time, even when they are far from good. Twos must see themselves as good for others by virtue of their virtue, as it were. The irony is that their need to think of themselves as all good is never more urgent than when they are self-centered, manipulative, and appallingly coercive. Average to unhealthy twos, therefore, do everything they can to be good in their own minds, and they get others to reinforce their assessment of themselves. This is why self-deception is so important to unhealthy twos and why they can become so destructive of the emotional lives of others while remaining absolutely convinced of their own virtue. However, when they are healthy, twos are able to move beyond the needs of their egos to become caring, unselfish, and disinterested in the most positive meanings of those words. But at the lower end of the personality continuum, the love of unhealthy twos is nothing more than a veneer for the desire to dominate others. They do not genuinely care for other people or concern themselves with their welfare. They are interested only in the gratification of their neurotic needs. Unhealthy twos do evil in the name of good and can no longer tell the difference. And that's scary. And oh my gosh, I know I'm like keep messing with my lips. It is so dry right now. It only rained a little bit here. I'm in Colorado, so it's starting to get nice. So cannot deny that the weather is starting to get nice. Alrighty, so like I said, I'm not gonna make it through all of this. I will get as far as I can. But like I said, this is not for the faint of heart. Like, you see the thickness of this book, okay? It doesn't seem like there's a lot, but there is. But like I said, it's all good information, and it's all a part of our self-discovery, you know? So if it's not useful to you, if it's not going to help change you or help to create change for you, then I don't know. You probably shouldn't be reading it. No. So analyzing a healthy two. The disinterested altruist. At their best, healthy twos are amazingly unselfish and altruistic, able to offer others a truly unconditional, continuing love with no strings attached. Their unconditional love allows twos to love without concern for themselves and without necessarily being loved in return. Getting a return on their love is not what matters to them, because generally this is what they want. Generally, twos, like, they only love you because they're like, ooh, now you're in my pocket and you have to love me back. And you're like, no. So, like I said, this is showing you the potential of being your greater self as this personality type, or being your not so greater self. Yeah, there we go. Truly unconditional love is both free and freeing. Healthy twos are free to love or not, and others are free to respond or not. Others are allowed to grow on their own terms, even if it means that they will grow away. Healthy twos always remember that it is an immense privilege for others to allow them to be a part of their lives, a gift others bestow on them, not something they can rightfully claim for themselves. So yeah, when people are healthy, they're good. I guess that's just a generalization, though. Very healthy twos are as altruistic as human beings can be. They are unself-conscious about their goodness, not letting their right hand know what their left hand is doing. They have immense reservoirs of goodwill and are absolutely delighted at the good fortune of others. Their attitude is that good is to be done, no matter who does it or who gets the credit for it. Healthy twos are completely disinterested in the truest sense of the word. They do not act from self-interest. Their intentions and actions are purely directed toward the good of the other, with no ulterior motives. Their disinterest allows twos to see the real needs of others clearly without ego clouding the picture. As a result, an extraordinary directness is possible in all their relationships because ego and self-interest do not get in the way. So, if a person that is a two is healthy, it's good things to come. Even if they do not live at this high peak of disinterested altruism all the time, healthy twos remain personally concerned for the welfare of others. Emotionally attuned to other people, they are the most empathetic of the personality types. It almost goes without saying, but healthy twos are extremely generous. One of the most important forms of their generosity is their generosity of spirit. Not primarily of material generosity, since particular two may be poor or of modest means, but more attitude toward others. They are charitable and put positive interpretation on everything, emphasizing the good they find in others. This is, in a sense, an irrational gift because it goes beyond reason. Healthy twos do not find fault with others, even when there is fault to be found. Not because they are not perceptive, they are far from it, but because they are much more attracted to what is positive and want to support those values. They are able to love the sinner, not the sin, a saving distinction. So, yeah. In a word, they are the embodiment of the ideal of charity in action. Healthy twos may be saints, or not quite saints, but in either case, they try to be caring, loving, and helpful. This is their ideal. This is their ideal, and in one degree or another, healthy twos attain it. So I'm gonna skip around because if I read this whole book to y'all, like, we're gonna be here a long time. So now we're gonna analyze the average two, the effusive friend. While healthy twos are genuinely good, average twos do less real good while talking more about their feelings and good intentions. Some reverse gear in their psyches has become engaged, and the attention they previously directed toward others begins to focus on themselves. Their attention shifts away from doing real good on to having good feelings, principally about themselves. They do not recognize how overblown and histrionic their feelings are becoming, or that they begin to have ulterior motives for what they say and do. The helpful, nurturing person has become little more than effusively outgoing. Declarations of heartfelt feelings are the order of the day. Empathy has deteriorated into shamelessly wearing their hearts on their sleeves, as average twos constantly tell everyone how they feel. Now, like I said, we all have one of these people. who they're like, oh my gosh, I feel this way. And yesterday you made me feel like this. And a few minutes ago you made me feel, it's like, yes. Oh my gosh. I know we have feelings. I know. But I don't care that you want to share them with me all the time. So, like I said, like this is really for the self-discovery. So in hearing about this, if you know this is you, and you always like, I'll love you, but I'm going to manipulate you into loving me back. Take heed, okay? Don't be like that. Be your healthy self. Live your best life. Of course, love remains their supreme value, and they want to love everyone. Love becomes their excuse, their rationale, their every motive, their only goal in life. If there's any type which is Johnny one note about anything, it's the average two talking about love. But it's also clear that when an average two talks about love, what they mean is that their love, which is the solution to your needs. Religion often plays an important part in their lives. Average twos may well be sincerely religious and want to do good for others because of their religious convictions. I know y'all know some people like this. However, religion is also very congenial to the way they view themselves. Religion reinforces their self-image of being well-intentioned and gives credibility to their assertions of sincerity. Religion also gives average twos a vocabulary and a respected value system in which to talk about love, friendship, self-sacrifice, goodness, what they do for others, and how they feel about others. All of their favorite topics. Religion puts average twos on the side of angels so that few people, including, of course, average twos themselves, dare to question their motives. Religion also appeals to their pride. They would secretly like to be thought of as a savior figure and miracle workers. They have fantasies of their love conquering all. Yeah. Of killing the other person with kindness. And winning over others through sheer goodness, all religious themes which make average twos feel good about themselves. Whew, boy. I'm going to have a podcast episode on religion because I really do find the mentality of religion, like I'm really fascinated by it. So we're going to talk about that one day. The genuine appreciation of others that we find in healthy twos has deteriorated into the beginning of an egocentricity, which draws attention to itself in subtle ways. In all circumstances, they assert the depth of their feelings and how sincerely well-intentioned they are. And while their fine words seem to be directed toward others, average twos are in fact their own most attentive audience. Hearing their fine sentiments make them feel good, and since they are less generally helpful to others, average twos have a lot of time to talk about how they feel. They like to share their feelings, encouraging others to reveal their innermost thoughts and intimate details about their personal lives. They talk incessantly about their friends and about friendships in embarrassingly explicit detail. Many people like the attention of average twos, and average twos know it. Their ability to lavish praise and flattery on people is a source of power, particularly over those who are hungry for approval. The approval they give, however, is not without cost. So anybody who's willing to stroke the ego of a two, at least the average one, they're all for it. All right. Average twos would like to create an extended family or a community with themselves at the center so that others will regard them as important figures in their lives. Okay, saying that, okay. So this is just me. I could be wrong. But like when you think of, okay, my mom had me. I love my mommy. And we're always watching strange or interesting things that she wants to watch. And so I watched this documentary of, it was a cult where like this dude had people like drink Kool-Aid and they all like killed themselves they ended up dying because of it. So watching that, like when they spoke about the man who was like in charge or head of it, like I'm assuming he was a two, because that is a power move. It's a scary power move, but it's a power move to put yourself or to have others feel in such a way about you that no matter what happens, like, even if you're, off somebody, people will still be like, oh my gosh, like, but you did what you could, like, you're a benevolent leader. That's how twos are. Like, even though they are really psychotic, they're like, I did this because I love you. Like, I did this because I care for my community and I'm doing good. But are you, though? At this stage, they are the mothering type who can't do enough for you. The stereotypical Jewish mother. Although average twos of all religions and sexes are equally inclined to this behavior, they are forever feeding people literally and emotionally something which has a powerful effect on others. Few things are as disarming as the seemingly sincere interest of oneself, and average twos are never more effective than with those who, for their own psychological reasons, are searching for a mother's love. So like I said, like if you meet somebody who's kind of have like this behavior, and I mean, like I said, we all have the potential to be our better selves, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you happen to meet a person who's like this, and it's kind of, they're going down the rabbit hole, you're probably about to cross into the line of something that's kind of culty. You probably shouldn't do that. Wouldn't be good. And let me see where I can cut this off, because I would love to continue, but I am actually going to be going to the ballet. Or no, the ballet was a couple of days ago with my mom. That was fun. But I'm going to a show tonight with my son. So that was fun. But we will pick up on this, the possessive intimate 2. So I'm going to leave a bookmark here. And hopefully I'll be able to get into more of the other ones a little more in depth. This episode was really kind of just a way to like prep you, get you into the understanding of what an anagram, like what it pertains, like what you'll be encountering. And like I said, how different it is from a personality that we base ourselves on with our astrological sign. So, like I said, I did stream this, or I did record it. I am recording, I'm talking to myself. So this is going to be posted on my YouTube. As always, you can find me on most social platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. My name is always going to be NakedGaea, Gaea. But yes, like I said, I'm sorry to have to cut it short, but I'm excited to be going to this little music venue. But yes, come check me out, come say hi, leave a comment, follow, like, subscribe, let me know you're out there. I did my music wrong. There we go. So yes, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I'm so sorry that I had to cut it short, but I love you guys. Happy Friday. Have an amazing day. Love yourself. And we will continue on Sunday with more self-discovery of the Enneagram. Love you. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.